Life is filled with trials, and among the most difficult are those moments of public embarrassment or outright humiliation. Whether due to someone else's arrogance, ignorance, or insecurity, these situations are as old as humanity itself. The critical question is not whether we will face them, but how we will respond when we do. That response often defines who we are and who we can become. When humiliation strikes, it's common to feel a surge of emotion, anger, shame, even helplessness. These reactions stem from our evolutionary need for social acceptance, as rejection from the group once meant exclusion from vital resources. According to evolutionary psychologist Robin Dunbar, our brains are wired for social belonging, and social slights register in the same brain regions as physical pain. But though these emotions are natural, mastery over them is essential. Reacting impulsively with rage or defensiveness tends to worsen the situation and undermines our dignity. Instead, the first act of power is pausing. A single moment of stillness can help you regain your emotional footing. Psychologists such as Viktor Frankl have emphasized this space between stimulus and response as the seat of our freedom. By breathing deeply and grounding yourself, you remind yourself that your value is not determined by the words or judgments of others. Remaining calm not only disarms the aggressor but also earns the silent respect of observers. It signals inner strength and maturity. Emotional control, however, is not the suppression of feelings, but the constructive channeling of them. Learning to manage one's emotional responses is a skill that transcends the situation. By keeping your emotions in check, you maintain control over your behavior and narrative, which is crucial in public confrontations. This is your first act of reclaiming agency. Whether or not to respond is a strategic decision. Not every insult warrants a reaction. Sometimes, silence is more powerful than any retort, as it denies the aggressor the satisfaction they seek. However, if you do choose to respond, do so with precision and restraint. Avoid descending into insults or escalation. Instead, redirect the attention to the behavior of the person attempting to humiliate you, asking calmly, "Why would you say that?" Or, "What are you trying to achieve by making this comment?" Forces the aggressor to confront their own motivations. Such responses expose their pettiness without compromising your composure. This kind of response is a form of what psychologist Daniel Goleman calls emotional intelligence. It shows self-awareness, self-regulation, and social skill. Responding with grace elevates you above the conflict and reaffirms your integrity. It also helps frame the incident for those witnessing it, encouraging them to judge the aggressor's behavior rather than your reaction. Reflection is another powerful tool. Within every criticism, no matter how cruel, there may lie a seed of truth. Humiliation presents an opportunity to examine whether something in the criticism is valid. This requires courage and humility. Perhaps the comment highlighted a weakness you hadn't noticed, or an area in need of growth. If so, extract the insight, discard the malice, and use it for self-improvement. Philosopher Michel Foucault spoke often of the power of critique as a tool, not just for resistance, but for transformation. If the humiliation was rooted only in cruelty or ignorance, then it says far more about the aggressor than about you. Allowing such baseless judgments to linger in your psyche grants them undue power. Discernment is crucial. Knowing what to take to heart and what to release is part of emotional maturity. Over time, this habit of reflection reinforces resilience. It enables you to emerge from each painful episode more self-aware, more centered. Dignity is your armor. When someone tries to humiliate you publicly, their goal is often to incite a reaction that will compound your discomfort. Responding with calm and poise denies them that satisfaction. It affirms your self-respect and influences how others perceive you. This is not about pretending you're unaffected, but about refusing to let someone else's behavior determine yours. Your grace becomes a silent rebuke, one far more powerful than words. Dignity rests on the understanding that self-worth is intrinsic. Even in the face of shame or ridicule, you maintain the right to stand tall, speak clearly, and act according to your values, choosing not to retaliate and instead responding with kindness or silence reflects deep inner security. Observers of such moments often shift their sympathies to the person under attack when they witness that kind of composure. Taking control of the narrative is another essential step. The person attempting to humiliate you is trying to impose a story, one in which you are diminished. Refusing to let that story take hold requires you to reclaim authorship of your identity. You do this not through bravado or retaliation, but through deliberate choice. Choose calm, choose clarity, choose to define yourself by your response, not their insult. Remember that perception is shaped not only by what happens, but by how we react to it. In a social environment, people are often less influenced by an attack than by how the target carries themselves in its aftermath. A measured, confident response shifts the story in your favor. You show that you are not defined by others' opinions, but by your own values. Finally, every episode of humiliation is an invitation to grow. If you view it as a defeat, it becomes one. But if you treat it as a mirror, a painful one perhaps, but a mirror nonetheless, it becomes a path to greater self-awareness. The social theorist Erving Goffman argued that life is a series of performances, and in each one, we negotiate our social identity. Humiliation attempts to distort that identity, but the power to restore it lies with you. Use the experience to examine your vulnerabilities. Are there areas where you can become stronger, more self-assured? Are there patterns of thought that make you more sensitive to judgment? Address these not with shame, but with curiosity. As psychologist Carol Dweck's research into the growth mindset shows, the belief that we can improve through effort transforms how we handle setbacks and criticism. With each challenge you overcome, you build your emotional stamina. You become less reactive and more responsive, capable of absorbing discomfort without internalizing it. This resilience fosters a confidence that isn't dependent on the approval of others. It comes from within, a deeper trust in your ability to endure, reflect, and rise. Over time, this process leads to inner peace. When your self-worth no longer hinges on others' validation, you gain freedom. You no longer feel the need to prove anything to anyone. You simply live, rooted in your values, confident in your path. So the next time someone attempts to humiliate you, whether through words, insinuations, or public mockery, remember this. Their power is limited. They cannot diminish you unless you allow it. Pause, reflect, respond with poise, learn what you can, and rise. Because in the end, what defines you is not what they said. It's what you did next.